Sideline Sedo here, and you might be wondering, why do I have a list of all the players in the Premier League on my screen? Well, the answer is because I'm going to give you a list of my favorite players from each Premier League club, quickly starting with Arsenal. But before we get into it, comment down below who's your favorite player on your team and who's your favorite player outside of your team in the Premier League. As always, if you end up enjoying the video, consider giving it a like, and let's get into the video. Starting with Arsenal, immediately, my favorite player at Arsenal, where is he? Bukayo Saka. It was Martin Odegaard for a while, but Saka has been, for the last like 6-8 months, has been electric. He has been something to behold. Truly one of the best players in the Premier League offensively, a threat for just about any back line. Still very young, developing a lot as well, getting better season on season, a goal, then 5 goals, then 11, then 14. And he started with 2 goals and 4 appearances in this one. Sure, he's had like a bit of, some ups and downs to start the season, with the draw at Fulham being the first thing that jumps out. But Bukayo Saka is going to be probably the best forward that England has within like 4 or 5 years, I would assume, unless somebody else comes through the ranks. But he's just such a brilliant winger. So very easy choosing Bukayo Saka there. Next up, we have Aston Villa. Aston Villa, my favorite player here is Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey, he just has managed to impress me in like just about every game I've caught of him. I think there's a brilliant player in there. I think he's a player that, will eventually make a switch to a bigger Premier League side than Aston Villa. No disrespect, but like I could see him going to play for like an Arsenal or a Newcastle or a City, or he honestly could play for any team within a couple of years. I forget how old he is. Well, 22. So I think by the time he's 23, 24, he'll probably get that switch. And he's been brilliant his whole time at Villa. Sure, the first few seasons, he wasn't scoring, but the last 2, he had 6 goals in each campaign. And honestly, that's growth. And he's just so impressive to watch. I think he has an incredibly high ceiling, and yeah, just absolute baller. Next up is Bournemouth, and Bournemouth is kind of like a curveball, so to speak, because like, you might think, being that I'm an American, I'm gonna go with Tyler Adams, or maybe I'll go with Kirkez because he's a promising fullback or something. Nope, it's Philip freaking Billing. Philip Billing is someone that I just don't know how he's been at Bournemouth exclusively. I think he's actually like a really good player personally, and I think he's been just like at a level where, I mean, maybe he's comfortable, being a player that's, starting week in, week out for a team of Bournemouth's caliber, but I could totally see him playing for teams higher up, in the pecking order in the Premier League. Like, I'm shocked he's not like a West Ham or something like that, or, you know, even if he was at like Crystal Palace or something, like a more kind of consistent Premier League mainstay, I feel like he would get game time there. And honestly, like, just seeing him play, like, obviously he's got a couple mistakes in him here and there, but I don't know. I just feel like he's an interesting character at times. He pops up in games and scores and moments where you wouldn't expect him to. He scored against Liverpool recently, and yeah, I mean he's just I think he's a class and frankly underrated player. So that's why I'm choosing Philip Billing. Next is Brentford, and Brentford's an interesting one because um you know, I think most people's favorite player is Ivan Toney, and I really rate Ivan Toney. I think he's a top class striker. Obviously, it's a shame he got banned, but it was the right decision. My favorite player is easily Brian Mbeumo. Brian Mbeumo is a beast, honestly. He's just like he's exploded this season. 4 goals in 4 appearances. He had 9 goals last season, 4 goals the year before. He's going to score like 15, close to 20 goals this season. Mark my words. With Ivan Toney out, he's become kind of the focal point of Brentford's offense. But all in all, I just rate him tremendously. And he's just improving season on season. He's also like 24, 25-ish. So he's not like too old. He could really grow into a Premier League talent that's, getting consistently in the like 10 to 20 goal club. And I think this is the season where he starts that. So really rate Brian Mbeumo, top quality player. Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton is a team littered with talented players. I mean, I could pick anyone here, and I feel like most people would, agree with me. I could go Enciso. I could go Billy Gilmore, Lallana, be a little sentimental about his time at Liverpool. Milner even. And while Milner is one of my favorite players I've ever seen play, him in a Brighton jersey, Brighton kit, I should say. Sorry, the American me slipped out, but him in a Brighton kit just doesn't like I haven't like had enough memories of him at Brighton, so it kind of like feels a little unjust putting him as my favorite player, even though out of this whole list he is probably my favorite player. I'm gonna go with Evan Ferguson. Evan Ferguson, shout out Enciso, shout out Matoma, quality players. There's players all over the pitch that are talented, but Evan Ferguson is built different, bro. He is just him. 6 goals last season, 4 goals in 4 games to start this season. He's just an animal. He's what, 18, soon to be 19 years old, and he's got a Premier League hat trick. He's scored some big goals, and I mean, I think he deserves that slot. Next up is Burnley. And Burnley is a squad that, is kind of young now. Obviously under company, it's a different kind of Burnley. They haven't really had the best of starts. But if I were to have to pick a player, probably Sonderberg. Sonderberg is somebody who, when he was at Sheffield, I thought he was class. And, he's gotten the switch to Burnley, and it's a bit lateral for him. But all in all, I think he's a player who one day is going to be just like, he'll get shipped on to someone that's, I'd say, a pedigree above Burnley. This is probably his second or his last destination as a club before he makes like a big switch. I do rate him. I think there's a quality player in there. And all in all, I mean, I think he's going to turn out to be a great signing for Burnley this season. So Sonderberg for Burnley. Next is Chelsea. And this is where we're going to start entering the like kind of trickier areas, because there's a lot of players at Chelsea, at some of these rival clubs, who I just don't really love a lot of them. I don't even like a lot of them. I mean, Raheem Sterling, being that I'm a Liverpool fan, he has a history of, being at Liverpool. He kind of exited somewhat, bitterly. And so like that kind of clouds it, then there's a lot of unknowns, Nicholas Jackson, how good is he going to be? Still scarred from Caicedo and Lavia, but, we move forward. Cole Palmer, I rate a lot, but at Chelsea, how does it kind of fit in? I'm going to go with, honestly, probably Thiago Silva. I was going to go Reece James, but I can't pass up on Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva has been great for Chelsea for the period of time he's played for them, and is just an all-in-all legend in the game. And I think that's fairly fair to, put him into the list for Chelsea with that. I mean, I feel like I don't have to speak on Thiago Silva. He just kind of speaks for himself. Next up is Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace, honestly, is littered with players that I could pick here. I could go with Mark Guehi. I could go with Chris Richards. I could go with Michael Elise, but I'm going to go with Eberechi Eze. Eze is an absolute baller. He's, entering kind of like slowly the peak of his career. He's around 25, I believe, or so. And, he's season on season improving. Last season he had 10 goals in all competitions in Premier League, played 38 matches, and is honestly a player who's going to eventually get a huge switch. He was linked to City at the end of the window. He's been linked to Liverpool once or twice. He's been linked to a number of English clubs, and eventually he'll get snapped up by somebody. But this season, I'm hoping he could do some good things for Crystal Palace. Moving forward after Crystal Palace, we have Everton. I'm a Liverpool fan. I don't really like a single player at Everton. I'm going to be honest. Like, not a single one of these people moves me. Like, look at this list. Beto, Jack Harrison, Onyango, Chermeti, Danjuma, Ashley Young. He played for United. I can't like him. But if, like, gun to my head, I was forced to pick a favorite here, I mean, Seamus Coleman kind of seems fair in terms of like the legacy he's provided Everton like as a club, but like I'm gonna go with Onana just because I think he's probably their best asset that they have in terms of like being a young player, but also being a quality player. And he's looked very, very impressive in spurts when I've seen him. I don't watch too many Everton games. I mean, don't want to like bore myself to death or anything, but I'll go with Onana. I think he's a fairly good player for them. So, and whenever I see him play, he plays well. So I'm gonna have to put him there. Next up is Fulham. Fulham, my favorite player at Fulham, probably gonna have to be. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Let's see. Why is what? Oh, there he is. João Palhinha. João Palhinha is a player who, you know, I have gotten some kind of pointed comments in recent videos, specifically the midfielder their tier list video. I did a tier list on all Premier League midfielders, not all of them, but 33 of the best in the league. And I put Palhinha in, I think, at C tier, and people were very upset by that. It was a relative list. I try to keep it balanced. So even though he's in C tier, he's more of like a B to A tier player, but he's class. He is older. He's more like experienced, and he's already starting off really well. He scored a goal against Arsenal. That was a big goal for Fulham. And I think, I think he's going to be, good for Fulham this season. He's had this shoulder injury, as you can see right here. There's some like kind of excerpts of it here and there. But who knows how that'll like impact them. But I hope he has a great season for them. He's top class. Next up is Liverpool. Liverpool, my club. And there's just so many players to choose from for me. I feel like, a parent picking their favorite child in this moment. But if I were to have to pick, there's only like two, maybe three players that I think you could there's three obvious options, and I'm gonna list them as my options to pick. It's Allison, Van Dijk, and where is he? Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah, there he is. For me, my favorite of the three, I think it's gonna have to be. It's so tough. I'm gonna say Allison. I think Mohamed Salah is the best. I like it's so marginal. I think Salah's the best player. I think Allison's the most important player, but I also feel like Allison has this like he has been there every time that Liverpool have needed to get bailed out by him, he's bailed them out. Unless like Liverpool played like absolutely dross that day. Sure, he has a mistake in him, but Alisson Becker, man oh man, he is easily the best goalie in the Premier League. I'd say the best goalie in the world. And at this point, he's so good that it's like close to being like the best player in the Premier League, maybe. I know it's kind of crazy to say for a goalie, and a lot of people don't really love that kind of, accreditation to go to a goalie, but Allison's been doing a season on season on season on season, and it's almost as if he's getting better. It's just truly remarkable the limits that he can stretch the goalkeeper position. Like, he scored a goal in the Premier League, he's assisted tons of goals, tons of clean sheets, 2 Golden Gloves. What's not to love? A goal and 3 assists as a goalie is crazy. Next up is Manchester City. This one is fairly easy. It's just Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is easily my favorite player at City. Is my favorite midfielder outside of Liverpool. I know City's like, the whole City pool rivalry is a thing, but he's just such a talented player, Kevin De Bruyne. He's just remarkable. Speaks for himself. Next up is Man United, another team that I really don't have many to pick from. Tough ask here, especially with the situation with a lot of, like I don't know, Sancho's like attitude towards Ten Hag's been weird. The stuff with Antony, the stuff with Greenwood, Fernandes just being a brat. It's very tough to pick. I'm going to pick Marcus Rashford. I think he's a quality player. He's, consistent. He's been there for United time and time again. He scored a lot of goals, assisted a lot of goals, versatile. Still, not really at his prime, one would think. And all the stuff he does off the pitch is just class. So I think Rashford's the fair pick there. Um, Next up is Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest. Yeah, there he is. Taiwo Awoniyi. He was at Liverpool for 4 seasons. They didn't play him one bit. He got sold, scored 10 goals last season. Now he scored 3 goals this season. He's going to be an absolute beast in the Premier League. Mark my words. He's far from his best. And so far, what we've seen has been incredible. Just a brilliant player, all in all. He's honestly like just built different, man. He is a threat. Keep an eye out for Taiwo if you're not already. Next up is Sheffield United. Another one that's going to be very easy. Anel Ahmedhodzic. I'm Bosnian. Ahmedhodzic is Bosnian. He's young. So hoping he develops into a good player here at Sheffield or at some other club. Maybe this could be a good, launching point for him, but always going to root for him and always going to have kind of a bias towards picking him. But if we're not going to pick him, I'm probably going to go with, it's either like, and I know this is going to kind of contradict something I said earlier in terms of like, Milner not being at Brighton for long enough to justify him being chosen, but Gustavo Hamer and Cameron Archer, top quality signings. Got to give it to Sheffield United. I think those are really good additions, and they're both good shouts for my favorite player, but I'm going to give it to Ahmedhodzic. Next up is Tottenham. We have 3 more teams. Tottenham is here, and for Tottenham, it's tough. It's either James Maddison. I mean, I really like what I've seen from Destiny Dogi so far, but it's going to have to be Heung-min Son. He's just such a good forward. And honestly, I just admire the guy a lot. I think he's stand-up. I think he seems like the type of person that would just be nice, like, to, like, normal people, like, off the football pitch. Doesn't seem like he's got a huge ego. And I just frankly respect the guy. I respect his work ethic, his skill, his quality, and just his overall attitude towards the game. So, gonna have to give it up to Son. Next up is West Ham. West Ham. My Amas. West Ham, another interesting one. A lot of really good players at West Ham, especially after some of these transfers. I think Kudus is going to be great. Alvarez, I think, is going to do bits. Ward-Prowse going to do bits. I mean, their midfield's immediately a step above just upon selling Declan Rice and reinvesting that money wisely. But my favorite player is easily Jared Bowen. I also want to give a shout out to Mikel Antonio. He is so quality, and the stuff that man does on the pitch and the like work rate he provides for West Ham up top, I think it goes unsung a lot. But Bowen's stats are just brilliant. He started off the season really well. I have a signed card from him, a Panini card. So who knows? Hopefully he goes up in value. And now he's linked to Liverpool too, so it kind of makes me like him a bit more. Mikel Antonio, though, just shout out to him. Look at those stats over the last, there's some seasons where he's scored low, but for a person who's, been at West Ham for so long, you kind of have to respect it. He's basically a modern day club legend for West Ham. But finally, last team is Wolves. Wolves in a bit of state of disrepair right now. Who knows how their season's going to turn out? I'm hoping that they do well. But I don't know. It's kind of tough. But I am going to pick Mario Lemina. Mario Lemina is kind of a weird shout. I just think he's kind of underrated, man. Like, he's been to Southampton. He was at Fulham on loan. He's playing pretty good for Wolves to start this season. He's not like, I don't know. I just like seeing him play sometimes. Wolves this season has looked a little dross, but I do think he's one of their better players. And if they do stay up, it'll be surely in large part due to Mario Lemina's contributions. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below who's your favorite Premier League player at your club and who's your favorite Premier League player at another club. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.